the gym. The gym, we have basketball, volleyball, pickleball, Foursquare, and they do some other activities up here. And we also, if you could see the stage down here, we could put on a play if we want to, or have a band come in and play music up here. The Escape Zone started from a local church in the community by a young couple, and they wanted to do programs for kids and from the church, and it grew from that. We had kids coming from the community that started coming to the Escape Zone. They designed the whole purpose of the Escape Zone was to have a safe place for kids to come to. So there were probably other situations, but this was the safest place. We had volunteers, we had people from the church who wanted to sit and talk with the kids, who wanted to provide activities for the kids, and that's how it grew. I started out with a group of men who wanted to do mentoring for youth. A mentoring group. We were trying to get started. We started coming to the Escape Zone. We kind of wanted to see what was going on there. And from that, they asked me to sit behind the counter and start seeing the kids coming in and talking with the kids. We had a young man that was standing behind the counter or in front of the counter, and he was sitting there with his hands on his elbows, and he had tears coming down his eyes. And the guy and I, the other guy behind the counter and I were looking at each other like, what do we do? And a young man came up and started punching a kid like this and started saying, where have you been? Where have you been? I've been looking for you for weeks. And the kid finally swung back at him and said, look, my mom and dad are in prison. I'm in a foster home. I don't know if I'm ever going to see my parents. I don't know if I'm ever going to have a normal life again. I don't know what to do. So then tears just started rolling down his face, and we gave him something to drink and maybe just tried to talk to him a little bit. And when I asked him, I said, when you say you don't have anybody, what does that mean? He says, well, my grandparents don't even want me. They feel I'm part of what my parents were involved in. And I said, oh man. I said, do you mind if I talk to your grandparents? I took the call and he got on the phone and he was a little bit stiff about everything. And I said, look, I'm a grandparent myself. I said, you got a kid here who's going to be lost to you and to everybody. You can't let this happen. You just can't let this happen. And so he finally turned to his wife, and I heard that there was conversation between he and his wife, and finally he says, we'll come down. And I said, I'll provide you a space, so please come down. And he came down, and they walked in, and you could tell they were a little bit reluctant, but they came in, and I told him to walk through the building, and I'll be back there with your grandson. He came back up to me and said, look, we're going to try to get him. We're going to try to take care of our grandson. I get a little bit choked up on it because it was really emotional. And both he and I kind of shared a tear or two. And so finally they walked away, and then we heard the next day or two, a couple days, that he got custody of his grandson. And to this day, the young man has come back and talked to us. He's doing well, he's successful in life. And we were only a little part of that puzzle, but we know that we helped. We go to grocery stores, we go to restaurants, and we buy the food that we're serving on Friday nights. We prepare a lot of the food. I mean, we want to make sure these kids have a good meal. And I've got to tell you, it's funny how their smiles and how they feel about it, and you can tell they really do appreciate it. And we mentioned to them, it's from, this is sponsored by the Food from the Hungry. It's important because kids might not have a Thanksgiving dinner, they may not have a Christmas dinner, they may not have a meal. Why? I mean, I think of some of these people. I've even been involved a little bit with Food for the Hungry. I've seen packages given out to families. I've seen the smiles on their faces. We waste a lot of money ourselves every day. We could afford to spend a little money to help Food from the Hungry provide food for children and for families in this community. I mean, come on. I can't imagine why we wouldn't want to do that. I just cannot imagine that. So, I mean, the Food for Hungry helps sponsor the Escape Zone, for an example. Many kids from the community come here, and they're getting that support from the Food for Hungry. I mean, I can't imagine why else they wouldn't want to do that.